Tonight, with the death toll rising as each hour passes, Louisiana in a state of martial law. Martial law declared just hours ago in the face of rampant looting. On top of the suffering across the South from New Orleans to Mississippi, Alabama to Florida, the law is struggling tonight to cope. Good evening, everybody. I'm Nancy Grace, and I want to thank you for being with us tonight. Tonight, to Aruba, rape and murder suspect Satish and Depik Kalpo behind bars after days of questioning by Aruban authorities and counting down 4 days before prime suspect judge's son Jorn Vandersloot could walk free. And tonight, a 12-year-old little girl missing from her own home in North Carolina. Her bed discovered empty. Police say the child is on the move with a convicted sex offender, Philip Daniel Dinkler. But first, the Louisiana governor declares all of New Orleans must be evacuated. And tonight, in a rare move, practically unheard of in the United States, martial law declared.
Let me just make a very flat statement here. I have instructed the Highway Patrol and the National Guard to treat looters ruthlessly. Looting will not be tolerated, period. And the rules of engagement will be as aggressive as the law allows.
With us tonight in Montgomery, Alabama, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Horton of the Alabama National Guard. In New York, Defense Attorney Alan Ripka, Defense Attorney Barry Sorrells, psychiatrist Dr. Joseph Del Tito. In Biloxi, CNN meteorologist Rob Marciano. And in Gulfport, Mississippi, CNN's Anderson Cooper. Anderson, what do you see?
Nancy, it's almost impossible to describe what we have seen in Gulfport. I am in the downtown part of Gulfport. I want to show you what is behind me, a casino, which is a casino barge, because you know by state law, all the casinos here have to be on barges. Well, it is now on land. That casino, that entire building was picked up by Katrina and deposited about a half a mile maybe about a half mile or so right into the downtown of Gulfport, Mississippi. And if the camera pans to the right, there are dozens of tractor trailer trucks which have been picked up from the port area, carried by the water. It's like a child's playground of Tonka toy trucks just deposited right in the downtown. They are literally on top of each other. I've never seen anything like it, Nancy.
Anderson, it's my understanding that there has been rampant looting. In fact, martial law declared in other areas. Have you seen looting?
I wouldn't call it looting. What I have seen is desperate people kind of wandering around here in downtown Gulfport. There are a lot of police here in Gulfport, so you can't get away with looting. But I have seen people picking stuff up from the wreckage. I saw a man with 2 bottles of olive oil. He was hoping to try to cook something up. He says he has no water. He doesn't really have much of a place to go. So there are a lot of people just desperately in need. But CNN's Adori Doji just reported moments ago she is getting information about looting in New Orleans. Shots have been fired. A number of arrests have been made. We're trying to get a sense of how wide scale it is, but it may be getting very serious in the city of New Orleans right now, Nancy.
Well, Anderson, recently enacted just August 11, which is uncanny, Anderson, looting laws going into effect in Louisiana, up to 3 years behind bars for looting, 6 months for price gouging. And Anderson, CNN has so much of this on video. The hurricane strikes, and suddenly that's your free ticket to a microwave. The problem with looting, Anderson, not just that people may steal a microwave, many people are refusing to evacuate, Anderson, because they fear looting.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a concern. I mean, it's a scary situation. You know, when darkness falls, I mean, you're stuck in your home all alone, and there are people wandering around in your neighborhood, and you know, the phones don't work. You can't call the police. The landlines don't work. The cell phones don't work. It is very scary, and looting, you know, it's a breakdown in civil society, and that is something that authorities simply cannot tolerate or will not tolerate because it just spreads and it feeds on itself, as you know, Nancy.
Anderson Cooper is with us. Everyone, take a listen to this.
If you're in the business of theft, this may not be the best time to ply your trade. I would advise that you'd pick another time, because we are going to be very, very aggressive with those that try to exploit this disaster against people's property.
Let me go out to Lieutenant Colonel Robert Horton. He is with the Alabama National Guard. Thank you for being with us, sir. Is Alabama deploying National Guardsmen?
Well, so far, Alabama has deployed 1,600 Guard members here in the state of Alabama. Out of the 1,600, we're sending 300 military police to the state of Mississippi to help law enforcement officials maintain law and order there. And we're also deploying engineers to the state of Mississippi. At the same time, we're sending an entire infantry battalion to Mobile, Alabama, to support local law enforcement officials in that area.
Lieutenant, take a listen to this.
Let me just make a very flat statement here. I have instructed the Highway Patrol and the National Guard to treat looters ruthlessly. Looting will not be tolerated, period. And the rules of engagement will be as aggressive as the law allows.
Back to Lieutenant Colonel, excuse me for calling you Lieutenant, sir, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Horton with the Alabama National Guard. Your people were probably thinking that they were going to help clean up, hand out aid, blankets, water, ice. Instead, they may be faced with looting.
Well, one of our state missions in the event of a natural disaster is to support local law enforcement agencies, and we're prepared to do that. But at the same time, we have to follow the military rules of the use of force. We're not a lead law enforcement agency when it comes to supporting